Welcome to The State of Us. Real people with honest opinions and the future of responsible media. Here's your host, Justin T. Weller.
Walmart, one of the biggest U.S. cigarette sellers, is raising the minimum age to purchase tobacco products to 21 in all its stores and will stop selling fruit-flavored e-cigarettes amid pressure from regulators to curb use by children and teens. Who cares? Why do we care? Well, that's because right now, the FDA says that fruit and dessert flavors such as mango and cream have contributed to a rise in underage use of tobacco. And currently in Congress, there has been a bill introduced in the House and Senate that would raise the minimum age to purchase tobacco nationwide to 21 from 18. So we care because maybe you're a parent and you have kids. Maybe you're under the age of 18. Maybe, you're in this space and you know people, right? There's a lot of different ways you could care. If you care about kids, if you care about tobacco use. And there's a bigger question at play though, and that's the one of age, right? Will this really fix the problem? Well, that's what we're talking about today, but of course, no conversation would be complete without
your friendly redneck liberal, Lance Jackson.
Do you care about government control over your personal life? Do you care about the Constitution? Do you care about individual rights?
Bam! Hit them hard, right in the opening. That means 4-year-olds should vote, right?
I mean, why do you care? Well, but your reason why you care, you didn't mention the biggies for me.
Okay.
You mentioned the easy ones.
All right, I know. So, we're also joined today by none other than Caleb Spinner, our producer for The State of Us. He's actually always here with us, so he's not really joining us. He's just joining us with a microphone today. So
they made the mistake of letting you be able to hear me today.
That's right. We'll blame it on Lance. So
at least Lance has an intro.
Full disclosure, he is a member of Mechanicsburg's National Honor Society. So
that's right.
Take all those opinions with that knowledge.
Fair warning,
in place.
I am the most intelligent person in this room for that fact only.
That's right. Lance and I weren't in National Honor Society. So anyway, what we're looking at today, we start out with, there's this bill in the House and Senate to raise the age. Lance, raising it from 18 to 21. You think they should do that? If your congressman called you up and said, hey, what do you think I should do about this?
Leave it alone.
Okay. So vote no. Don't raise the age.
Don't raise the age.
Caleb? Raise it, don't raise it.
This will be surprising, but I'm going to agree with Lance on this. I think just leave it where it is.
Okay.
Just
Lance,
leave it where it is.
Why? Wait, no. Because we don't want to let Caleb
live off of my opinions.
That's right. We don't want him to live off your opinions. So, Caleb, why? Why leave it where it is?
Because, frankly, I don't believe it's causing a problem where it is now. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as the expression is.
Well,
I think.
As I just shared, the FDA has reported that nicotine liquids with fruit and dessert flavors such as mango and cream have contributed to a rise in the underage use of tobacco products.
Well, then you get rid of that. Then you crack down more on underage people. If they're trying to go into the stores and buy it, then I guess you check IDs more thoroughly.
So a little background on this Walmart situation. One of the reasons this is all happening is because the FDA has been threatening to fine Walmart heavily for sale of a number of cases where they've sold products like this to people who are underage. And Walmart they are raising the minimum age to 21 because they say it will make it easier for store associates to not accidentally sell to people who are under the age of 18. Walmart's current policy, for what it's worth, is that if someone appears to be under the age of 40, you must ID them. So I guess they think that if we raise it to 21, it'll be harder, for people to look. I don't know. I feel like if you're 17, faking that you're, over 40 is just as hard as if the age is at 20. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that makes much difference, Lance.
I know you're not a Walmart expert, but are they not IDing people? Are they not like looking at the ID? Are they just saying, oh, well, I mean, you look 21. I mean, I know you were saying they ID people under 40, but why are they still?
Well, that's supposed to.
How are you proving that they're selling it
policy.
to them? How are you proving that they're selling it to them underage? Is just my question.
You mean, in other words, how does the FDA know this is happening?
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind that all Walmart stores have video surveillance. And then if law enforcement catches these individuals or the school catches them with these products, they're of course going to ask where you got them from. They say Walmart, and of course they can't just go off their word. So then they go to Walmart and subpoena the footage.
Okay.
Right. And they say, okay, well, here's this guy, or gal buying this product that they shouldn't be allowed to buy.
Okay.
And local law enforcements go out and hire minors to go to drive-throughs and different places and see if they get served or not. That's undercover agents. That's another way they do it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times they have agents who are in their, early 20s who look younger, and they will send them to see if they're ID'd. Because they should be. I mean, there's no technically there's no federal, it's okay to not ID someone, but it's also kind of one of those gray areas that isn't really enforced. I mean, the deal is the law is you're not allowed to serve to somebody, under the age of 18, under the age of 21, depending on what the thing is. So there's an assumption there that the only way you can know that for certain is to ID them. But it's not a valid excuse. For example, if a restaurant says, well, this person, clearly appears to be 50 years old, and we find out that they're 17, that's not a valid excuse. It doesn't matter that you honestly thought they were old enough. You have to have taken the steps necessary to verify their age or not. Just like it's not technically wrong if you didn't ID them and they are actually 40 and you give them alcohol, you didn't do anything wrong. So it's kind of, that's where there's this leeway for how organizations handle that. And Walmart's policy again is, and they have signs. I mean, I don't know if you've ever paid attention, but next time you're in Walmart, take a look. They've got signs near the register where they sell those products that say associates will ask for ID for anyone that appears under the age of 40, because there's some people who get upset who, clearly appear to be in their late 30s, who are like, why are you, I mean, because they feel like it's dumb. It's like, I'm old, you're embarrassing me by making me take out my ID. So they put up these signs so that people know it's like, this is a policy because we're trying to be smart. Obviously, though, it's not working because you still have associates who don't, they either don't ID or they don't pay very close attention to whether or not it appears to be a valid ID.
Right. I get you.
So, Lance, why? Why not raise the age? Because you're saying we shouldn't.
Because it's against people's rights. I mean, let's face it. We've gone through this 50 years ago, 45 years ago, I guess, with the age of 18, and you can go fight for your country and voting and drink. And so the age doesn't stop anything. If you want it, you're still going to get it. They're going to find some way to get it. And then it's, again, here's the government stipulating on what I do in my private life that doesn't affect anyone else. I'm making that statement because you always come back and say, well, we have all these other laws where government can say, okay, but in this case, this is where it's affecting me. We don't have a law, as I always tell you, we don't have a law against double cheeseburgers, and double cheeseburgers are killing me. But we don't have a law against double cheeseburgers. So there comes a point in time when the government should not be so intrusive in people's choices. People have the right to make good and bad choices. And I just think this doesn't make any sense. It's not going to stop. This is not the way to stop young people from partaking in tobacco in any form. I think so. It's going to be it's a lose-lose. I don't like the fact too that the government is not fining Walmart and saying, well, if you do this, then you don't have to pay a fine. Well, that's ridiculous. We have laws in place. Enforce the laws we have. You don't make new rules because any rule you have, people will find a way to get around it if they want it badly enough. So I just think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. And I think I don't like the fact when the government intrudes on people's private lives. And again, people are going to say, well, it doesn't make any difference. And I'm arguing as somebody who has never smoked. I've never had any kind of tobacco in my mouth whatsoever. So I'm not arguing on behalf of the smokers or anything like that. I just don't like the government intrusion, and it's not going to solve the problem. And I hate wasting time doing something that's not going to fix the problem or the perceived problem.
Right. It's a thing that makes us all feel better that we've quote unquote done something about it. But the thing we're doing really is it may make the statistics a little better. Okay. I would see that there's a possibility that doing this might make it appear like the problem is a little better. The bigger issue though is that it's not going to do what we need, which is, and Lance and I covered this several months back now, where we found out that 90% of addicts, of all addicts, so this includes, smokers, drinkers, all that kind of stuff, illicit drug users, all addicts, right, who are adults today, 90% of them tried a substance before the age of 18. So what good does raising it to 21? I mean, they've already tried it before they're 18. So that's not the big thing that's the problem. Okay.
Well, remember, we did everything, and I'm old enough to remember when you could smoke in restaurants and on airplanes and on city buses and any kind of public transportation. And we've done all this education, and we showed where secondhand smoke was bad. All the government, everything was done. And so the tobacco industry was dying out, which was what the objective was, but we did it with honest information. Okay. If you smoke, here's likelihood of what's going to happen to you. If you smoke around your child, here's things that could happen to your child. We made people aware. We educated people. And people chose not to do it. And sometimes we passed laws and we said, okay, you can smoke if you want, but you're not going to do it in this movie theater or everything else because your smoke affects other people. And that's why I said what I did at the beginning of the show. If I want to smoke out in the middle somewhere and it's not bothering, nobody else is around, or everybody around me is smoking, so they're all willing to take that risk, then that's my right.
Right.
And we educated people. And people said, we don't want this anymore. Okay, so then we come out with e-cigarettes, which is still tobacco, but we're not educating the people today that are using that and saying, you know what? You're not any better off than you were doing it the old way. And this is no different with all these flavors than the U.S. government allowing the tobacco industry to give cigarettes away for free to all the draftees in World War II to get them addicted to the nicotine. And then they come home and become 2-pack-a-day smokers, and then we have this rise in lung cancer, and the health system has to pay for it, all because the government allowed the tobacco industry to give these away free to soldiers who were going to war. I mean, you want to get into the whole hypocrisy of this whole thing. That's why I say, you know what? The way this all started was government intervention, and government intervention is not going to end it. It's going to be to educate people. This is the health risk. You make the choice.
Right. Because the key in all this is, I think we contend that one of the great things about living in America is supposed to be the option of choice, right? That you have a choice. The key though is, and this is not something that's, I think laid out in the Constitution, but it's something that it's kind of as a society moved toward believing is that you have a choice to make an informed decision. In other words, a lot of laws and so forth that are in place today, for example, requiring, I don't know how many years ago it was. As long as I've been alive, it's been the case that food products have to have, like in grocery chains and so forth, have to have the calorie label on them. If you're of a certain size producing certain types of goods, you have to print the caloric information. Now, you could say that that's the government trying to prevent people from eating unhealthy food. Or you could say, No, it's simply there so that people have the information necessary to make a good choice, right? Because before you eat this thing and what you're relying on is the marketing of the company to sell it to you, which isn't going to be unbiased and it shouldn't be unbiased, right? I mean, they're out there to make money. If they highlight all the things that are bad about whatever their thing is or all the problems with it, they're not going to make very much money. So there's a lot of things like that we have in society that are there to serve as what Lance basically is saying, which is making sure that the information is available, or at least there's enough information available for people to make a semi-educated decision about whether or not they want to use this thing. Because Lance and I will probably be the first to tell you, just because the Oreo pack says that, each cookie is 140 calories or something gross like that, doesn't stop me from eating 10 Oreos, right?
Nope.
Depends
on how big my glass of milk I have.
But
the bigger the glass of milk, the more Oreos.
Right. But I'm aware that it's there. So I've been
the
given
information's there
exactly
for me to choose.
Yes.
Just like when I walk into any restaurant or fast food establishment and it says, and I look at that, well, this has so many calories and this has so many calories, because sometimes I feel like trying to be a little healthier. And it's like, oh, okay, this sandwich has 200 less calories than this other one. I'm going to go with that today because that makes me feel good.
Right.
May not make a difference in my health or not, but hey, I chose to put fewer calories in my mouth today. So that was a good decision. Or sometimes it's like, you know what? Just forget it. I don't feel good today. I'm getting the double cheeseburger with bacon and onion rings and everything else on it, and put 4 cups of sauce and drench it. And I want extra cheese. Okay. And I've just gotten, 2 days worth of calories in one sandwich. But again, I made that decision knowingly. I knew what the information was and made an educated choice. Just because you're educated doesn't mean you always make the best choice, but at least we have the information, which helps us so we can make the choice we want as an educated one. Like you said,
what we'll be looking at here in just a second is kind of this bigger issue of age. Okay. Because a lot of times, and Lance highlighted it, historically, we've played with this before, right? We send people off to die, but they can't vote, right? Or they can't smoke. Seems kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, that's why it changed. That's why we changed the voting age, because there were all these young men going off to die who said, wait a minute,
and the drinking age and the tobacco age, all of it was changed,
and it's, so it hasn't always been the way it is. And part of what I want to talk about in the back half here of the show is, are the way we're doing things now really any better than the way we did them before? And is there a better option out there? Because that's part of what we try to do on this program. And Lance, what exactly is the mission that we're trying to accomplish here?
It's to reach space. We want to be the first to space. Oh, never mind. We already did that.
Maybe we should have Caleb do it.
There we go. What?
You want him to do the mission?
No, that's my thing.
Okay. He wants me to reach space is what he wants.
Our mission is to educate people, which you've heard that word repeatedly here in the first 15 minutes. Educate people by providing honest, open, and respectful conversations.
And Caleb, if people don't think that we're upholding that standard, what can they do?
They should take to social media and get us banned. No, they should email.
Definitely not. Don't do
ethics@truechat.org. Ethics@truechat.org.
How do you spell TrueChat?
TrueChat.
Man, there's National Honor Societies for you guys.
Yeah, you didn't even do it cool. You spelled it with the E. Spelling it cool would be leaving the E out.
I just spelled it correctly.
TrueChat.
That's you'd be amazed at how many people out there try to spell it TRU. I'm like, what are you doing? No, nobody said it was TRU.
You're disobeying the millennial in you, Justin.
No, the only reason people do that is because of True TV. That is the only reason, is because True TV thought they were cool and they're like, TRU, TV. Sorry, there's the tirade.
No, they did it because we don't have any spelling tests anymore in public education.
Did you ever have spelling tests, Caleb?
I did, but they were at the point in life when you just said, "Oh, I'll misspell nugget and sit down," because it wasn't something you wanted.
You
to
didn't
do.
have like graded spelling tests?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I did.
Yeah,
and I'm still bad at spelling, but that's also because those tests stopped in like 5th grade, I think. So,
Well, you and I also went to different schools.
Mine never stopped, and I can spell.
yes. You can also do multiplication,
Mm-hmm.
1 through 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty quick.
I
can't do that either. So they quit on the memorization of that in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
So they kept the spelling thing going longer, but not the shorthand multiplication. So anywho, before we get to what do we do about the age, right? If anything, because maybe there's nothing better to do. Maybe we just give up and say, yeah, this is the best we got. Striving for more? Pfft, this isn't America. So we got to hear from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. Welcome back. At 16, you get your license to kill others. At 18, you get the license to die for your country. And at 21, you get the license to kill yourself and also your license to gamble your life away. So, you think this makes sense, Caleb?
That was a very happy opening, by the way.
Yeah, right?
Welcome
Welcome back.
Very happy. Very happy.
Aren't we upbeat today? You think that makes sense, Caleb? It's okay if you do.
Not the way you put it. No.
Not
No, yeah. Well,
The way he
so
put it is
normally-
the truth. Does the truth make sense?
Here's how I think about it. When you're 16, it's convenient. This is what I think of. When it's 16, I'm going to be going places. I'm going to be going on college trips and probably starting working and stuff like that. So I'm going to drive around. I do not think about, I could die or, I could kill somebody. I'm a glass is half full guy.
Put it this way, okay? Yes. I mean, I'm
Then
not
why do it,
showing.
But
Go ahead.
why do insurance companies charge you 3 times as much as they do me?
Because they know I'm a young, dumb high school teenager.
And that you're more likely to kill
And
other
that I'm
people.
probably going to kill other people. Yeah,
That's the key, though.
I'm not saying that I don't do that. I'm just saying that's not the first thing that comes to my head with why are we allowing these people
Right.
to
Which
have-
is why you shouldn't be driving. It's because that's not coming. You don't realize, your age doesn't realize the damage it can do when it's behind the wheel of an automobile.
Oh, I know I can screw up somebody's life and my own. I've been to enough prom promise breakfasts to know that. But I'm just saying that's not like,
The point is,
I don't look at the darker side.
when you think about the insurance companies, and I'm glad you brought that up, Lance, because I wasn't thinking about that. But that tells you the whole story that you need to know right there, right? The reason that they charge you more is not because you're a higher risk to yourself. They don't really care, right? It's because you are a higher risk to others. And that's where the money comes into play. Okay. Because when you kill somebody else, all of a sudden we're talking about lots of money, right? You run into a telephone pole and it's just you. Well, yeah, it's sad, but let's be honest. The insurance company, that's not that much money, right? So, it's when you take somebody else's life that the big money comes into play. And so, yes, am I telling the full picture about each of those ages? Not necessarily. I'm leaving out that, yes, you can kill yourself at 16 by driving. But to me, the bigger issue is that the likelihood of killing others is much higher than the rights that you're given at those other ages. Just like, as Lance highlighted before, you can kill people by smoking, right? But we have a lot of laws in place that make it really difficult to actually do that. It's not very likely that you're going to do that. It's not nearly as likely as if you're driving. Okay. The odds of you killing somebody driving are much higher than the odds of you killing somebody else by smoking.
And I would like to clarify, by the way, Mom and Dad, I know you're listening. I am a careful, responsible, safe driver. Do not doubt that from that rant that I just went on, or from that poor wording that I decided to do.
He's
there.
afraid his license is getting taken
Yes,
away.
that was coming to my head.
So the three of us have agreed that this seems a little archaic, the system that we have. What's the answer to this, Lance?
We already said it, I think, and I'm going to repeat myself, but I'll try to do it quickly. And that is, we need to educate people on the dangers of these new types of tobacco, air quotes there, these e-cigarettes and those kinds of things, the taste, the, drops or whatever they do to put in the flavored drops.
The vapes.
That, and let them know that this isn't any good for you. That this isn't any better for you than all the other things you grew up hearing about chew tobacco or smoke tobacco.
So what about the age though? As a whole, not just the tobacco thing. I mean, we just identified
What do you mean? I mean,
that
I thought you meant
16,
what's the
18,
better?
21 are kind of archaic numbers as far as the order in which you can harm others. What do we do about this? The age as a whole, not necessarily the tobacco thing specifically.
Oh, I see. I misunderstood your question.
Sorry.
I'm not sure.
I mean, do we make it just all one age and just say enough with this tiered thing?
Well, but that's what it was.
Right.
And now it wasn't. And then it was. And now it's not again. So it was all.
So
the
maybe
same
we
way.
shouldn't have messed with it at all? I mean, I'm just asking.
No, it's just what it is it's politicians and people with knee-jerk reactions thinking that this is going to solve the problem and they can pat themselves on the back and say, we did something about it. Oh, gee, didn't work. Doggone it. Okay, now let's try something else. This isn't, we already said it's not going to work. No matter what age you make it, people are going to try it if they want to try it. So the ages aren't going to make a difference.
Right.
So do you want me to go off the deep end? I mean, the two parameters here are nobody should be allowed to do this stuff till they're 25 or 30. That should be the actual ages. I mean, when you talk about driving and different things like that, and drinking and driving, that's when people start normally to become more responsible. They get in their bad habits when they're teenagers. Or you say there should be no age limit and just open it up and let people have access to it, whatever. Have a 12-year-old driver, let the 10-year-old buy the cigarettes. I mean, those are the two variables. But honestly, as long as we say that voting is at 18, that's when everything else should be allowed.
Whenever voting starts.
That's what I would say. If you're going to entrust someone to vote, or if you're going to draft someone into the military, probably where I am, wherever you're going to draft someone into the military, that's when you're saying at that point, you're an adult, you can start doing adult things. Because one of the things Caleb started to hint at with his answer was, well, it's just more convenient for me to drive at 16. And that's what most parents think, because he said, well, you want to start going places. No, I wanted to go places when I was 5, when I was 6, and I wasn't allowed to drive. Mom and dad had to take me. So the real reason to give someone the right to drive at the age of 16 is convenience for the parental units or for the adults, because we know that they're not the safe drivers. Just like we know people who are, over 75 or 80, the studies show are not necessarily safe drivers either. Those are the people that have the accidents, the majority of the accidents. And again, if you're a good teenage driver, like Caleb says he is, or you're a good older driver, I'm not trying to offend you because of your age. I'm not trying to say ageism. I'm going off of what the studies show from the
average,
the insurance industry, and why they charge the rates that they do. Those aren't just pulling numbers out of a hat. It's based on the studies that they've done that shows who commit, the crimes of driving or whatever. So to me, when you can die for your country, that's when you should be treated and given all the adult responsibilities that adults have.
A clarification point.
We're not the only, some people draft earlier than 18.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just what we've chosen.
Right. I mean, there's other countries where everything is 17.
Whatever that age is, that's when you should be allowed to do all those other things.
So let me ask, does that, and I'm not suggesting you meant anything in particular, but so just for sake of argument, let's say it's 18's everything. Okay. Just hypothetically. Does that mean that when you turn 18, you can just start driving, or do you still have to get a license to drive? Like, do you still have to go and pass the test, get your license?
I'm going to say you have to get the license still. I know it's Lance's answer, but
because to me, I'm torn on this because Lance and I have talked a lot about the infringement of rights, right? The problem is that, for example, driving, much like smoking in a public place, has a high likelihood of infringing on somebody else's rights, okay? Because obviously taking their life is violating their rights against their will because they don't want to die, probably. Hard to ask them because they're dead, afterwards. But my guess is that 99.9% of the people that have been killed by another driver in a car accident would have said, no, I don't want to die today because this person's going to run into me with their car. And that's where they couldn't think through everything. So you have to, I don't know. Do you need a license, Lance, or do you just...
Let me throw one out there for you. Okay. And I'm going to say, no, you don't need a license, because probably the most important thing that in the past people have chosen to do, and your two generations are choosing not to do it as much, and that is to become a parent. We have no test. And you want to talk about affecting the future, and you want to talk about affecting other people's lives. You are allowed to have children and, quote, be in charge of them, be the parent of that child.
And you don't need a license. With
no test. You don't need a license for that. And don't tell me marriage license. I'm not talking about, no, there's nothing in there about being a parent when you get a marriage license.
Right.
So I think the most important thing most important responsibility you have on the face of this earth is rearing another human being. And if you choose to do that in our country, in our society, you don't have to have a license for that. You don't have to pass a test for that. So why do we require a test for anyone else? Please bombard me, you guys, everybody else out there. But, that's why I was silent and Caleb jumped in, because I was thinking about it. And that's in the last 2 or 3 minutes what I've come up with.
No, that was well said.
I feel very strongly about forming the next generation. Obviously, I was in education for many years and have raised 2 daughters and multiple other people that my wife call my sons and daughters who, still seek out my guidance and, through texting, calling, writing letters, whatever. And thank you for all of you who do that. But there's no test.
Right.
There's no license for that.
Should there be?
Oh, now we're opening up the can of worms.
I'm just saying,
Lance,
just because we have to end the show, I just want to know. I just want to take.
If there's going to be, I'm saying no, because there should be no test for anything.
Okay.
But if you're going to have tests for one, if you're going to have a license for one, you should have to be educated and have a license for all.
So if it was
don't pick and choose.
Right.
If it was my world, no
licenses, which includes for having children. Got it. Okay. That hopefully leaves you all with something to think about. Should you really need a license to drive if you don't need a license to parent? I don't know. That's and for what it's worth, I was thinking along the same lines, not the parenting part though. That was interesting, because I was thinking, well, if you need a license to drive, shouldn't you need a license to smoke or gamble or vote? Right? You get down that rabbit hole. So let us know your thoughts at TrueChat.org, at TrueChat.org, on Facebook, Twitter, and more. Lance, we've challenged people to tune in this year. Caleb's brought us some listeners. You brought us some listeners. What are the ways that people can tune in?
Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else fine podcasts are found.
Wow, that was rapid fire today.
Yeah, we rattled that off.
For the State of Us on True Chat in Urbana, I'm Justin T. Weller.
And I'm Lance Jackson.
And I'm Caleb Spinner.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Be the change.